Welcome to Leading the Pack, a service of ShowSafe. I'm Sandy Weaver. Today's guest is someone you might not have heard of before, but you need to know her. She is a woman who has a fabulous little companion who is an all American dog. And yet here she is, the leader, the executive director of ShowSafe. Diane Moore, thank you so much for being here with us today.
Oh, thank you so much, Sandy. I'm really excited to talk to you about our work.
All right, so I have my first question is what does it mean to be show safe? I've heard you say, be show safe. Actually, what does that mean?
Well, to be show safe is really it's a way of being. It's a way of interacting with other people. It's a way of being aware of those around you, especially those that are vulnerable, such as junior handlers and things like that. So when you are being show safe, because we see it as a verb, we see it as an action. Being show safe means that, you are impacting the culture in a way that leaves it better than you found it. It's it means that you're giving people the benefit of the doubt. It means that you have awareness about the safety and well-being of other people around you. It means so many things. We can sit and talk probably this whole podcast about what it means to be show safe.
Well, and I love the what she said about giving people the benefit of the doubt because that I think is where so many things break down because people have different life experiences and people have different outlooks on life. And so what seems like a perfectly normal sentence for me to say may land in your ears like I just insulted you. And if we can't give each other the benefit of the doubt,
Right.
that's often the trigger point for an awful lot of problems.
Yeah. And people are probably wondering, well, show safe is here for abuse and misconduct, aren't you? And the answer is absolutely yes. We are here to prevent abuse and misconduct regarding anyone and everyone at shows. But to do that, what people don't realize is prevention is about culture, and prevention is about the connections that we create in this community help actually prevent bad things from happening. And they kind of determine how we respond when bad things do happen. And so I just want to say that yes, we are definitely here for what people might know us about, and that is our prevention services and responding to abuse and misconduct and supporting victims and survivors through things. But I would say a huge, huge part of that is about awareness and culture in the sport. Coming back to our values that all of us would espouse probably, but really thinking about them deliberately in the sport.
That is a great reminder. Now, you've only been in the sport of dogs, just in your position for a little over a year, right?
Yeah, about a year and a half.
Had you
About
ever
a year
been
and
to
a
a
half.
dog show before you started with Show Safe?
I had never been to a dog show. It's so interesting because we are a grassroots organization. We are people from all walks in the dog show world who have been there much of their life, if not all of their lives. And it's very grassroots. So it's people with really deep, deep connections in the dog sports world. Um, but when they started Show Safe and they had this vision and they had this passion about ways that the world they love so much could be better.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there was also a need for someone to come and bring the structure to it and also the content expertise. My background, uh, I spent 31 years in the human services, most of which at a child welfare agency, ending as the director of Utah's child welfare system. So I really bring the content, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But man, I love this. I love this community. So, yeah, my first show was Orlando 2024.
Oh, well, nothing
And
like starting by fire, right?
yeah, I know people were telling me not all dog shows look like this. Not all dog shows feel like this. And
Most of the dog shows don't look like that.
it's been such an honor to be able to go across the country. I've been all over to many, many shows at this point, and it has been such an honor to be welcomed, first of all, and to learn about the dog sports world and its rules and its idiosyncrasies and its humor and its interests. And, of course, it's not ever one conglomerate, it's not one thing. And I think that's my very favorite thing. It is such a diverse crowd
You've got everybody. You've got everybody from somebody
Mhm.
who works shift work 6 days a week and wants to show their dog on the seventh
Mhm.
without going to bed. You know, they did the overnight shift, they drove to the dog show, they combed up their dog and they hit the ring and, maybe they noticed they've still got their work shoes on. You've got that all the way up to people who drive motorhomes that cost more than any house I'll ever probably live in.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, it's really quite the span.
And because of that, it's such a beautiful conglomeration or petri dish of humanity. I kind of hold it up to the world. People think that because ShowSafe exists, that maybe the dog show world has something wrong with it, or why do we need to have these services? And I would say just the opposite. I would say every community that's similarly situated to dog shows, whether it's education, whether it's churches, whether it's other sports, they all have to have someone like ShowSafe there, to provide the support and to provide the information. But the beautiful thing about the show world is you're already living this really diverse world. You've already learned how to get along in so many ways. And you've got different religions and different political and different races and gender. I mean, just everyone comes to the dog
Different
show.
breeds.
Yes, yes, hundreds of them, over 200 of them. So yeah, it's such a wonderful place to exercise loving dogs and loving the sport. I think it's just been really inspiring to me.
So, one of the things that I noticed about you just from our very earliest interactions is that
Mhm.
you are a very observant woman. I don't think much gets by you. So, when you started going to dog shows, what were some of your early observations about the way things were working or the maybe missed opportunities or places where people could be more careful?
It's interesting because again, very diverse. So I saw so much kindness. I saw so much joy. I saw so much celebration. People just love their dogs, which I'm all about because I'm a huge dog lover all my life and dog owner. And so that was really inspiring. They're really friendly. They're very welcoming in many, many ways.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be hauling in suitcases and somebody would lend me their dolly or their, cart, or, people would help me carry stuff and I'd drop stuff and people would help me. And they're tough as nails. They're used to rain, they're used to snow, they're used to heat, they're used to really long days. So in that way that I saw so much that was really, really just honestly just inspiring.
Mm-hmm.
The commitment of their resources to this hobby that they love. And it's not tainted by, I mean, I know from the inside it probably feels like people are really competitive, and they are, as they should be, but
Yep.
it's not been tainted by a lot of some of the things you see in other sports.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's a pureness to this. Like everybody really is there because they love it like hobbyists.
Right.
And even when they're professionals, they love it like hobbyists. And I
Right.
I just think that's a really neat environment. I also was surprised they will speak up and they will speak their mind about things. And I think that can be really, really healthy as long as it's done well. I've seen it but done both ways.
Mm-hmm.
Coming in from the outside, I have been a little bit surprised sometimes by there's a little bit of more of an attraction for the tea. Um, than I was maybe prepared for. And I don't judge that. Again, I just think, when we're talking about people and their lives, I'm one of those that believes, like I said, you give people a benefit of the doubt. You treat others as you would want to be treated. And you're careful about what you put out into the universe so that you are leaving it better than you found it. I had the unfortunate experience more than once, probably 5, 6 times minimum, where
Mm-hmm.
parents have come to me and said, I really wanted my child to stay in dog sports. I really wanted them to continue as a junior handler, but either the parent themselves felt like the culture wasn't conducive to welcoming and supporting their child, or the child themselves witnessed some behaviors that they were like, why would I want to stay in this world? And I think when I hear those stories, that's the culture we're about changing, because we want to grow this sport. We want this sport to be as welcoming and as safe and as just wonderful as it could be.
I mean, my word for you is ouch. But that is probably a really good illustration of why the sport is not part of the reason why the sport is not growing. It's because we do, when we get to the dog show, we put our competitor hat on. And sometimes that means we're not as kind as we could be. And sometimes that means we're far from not as kind as we could be in our words and actions towards other people. And we forget that children are watching. And we
Yeah.
forget that parents of children are watching. And if the parents don't want their children exposed to behavior like that, they're not going to bring them back.
In other words, we're human. Is that what you're saying?
Exactly.
We're
Yes,
human.
competitive
This
behavior can bring out the very worst in people. It doesn't always, but it can.
again, it's not about judging. I don't even want to focus on, gosh, there's this that's wrong, or gosh, there's this, whatever, because what I have seen that is right
Mm-hmm.
is so ripe, is
Yep.
so blossoming, is
Yep.
so inspiring
Yep.
that that's what we want to feed, right? That's what we want to grow and feed because there are so many people out here mentoring one another and mentoring juniors and very aware of the standards. This is a sport with what I would call a good family sport. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Right. Yeah.
everyone here wants families to come and has fond memories of the first time they came and what they saw and what it felt
Right.
like. And
Yep.
it's funny. I saw a picture. You and I were actually talking about this another time. One of our supporters here at ShowSafe sent me a picture of the most wonderful sign, and it's stuck in the ground at what is obviously a showgrounds, and then it says, I and I wish I could credit the club who has this, and I think maybe more than one club does, but the sign says, somewhere on these showgrounds is
Mm.
a little child that wants to be just like you someday. You owe it to them to be the best sportsman you can be.
I love that sign. And that actually, I've seen it at other dog shows, and I'm on the cluster committee for the Peach Blossom Cluster, which is a very
Mhm.
large set of shows in the Southeast. And we put that sign all over. I mean, we have several versions of that sign, and we just plug them all over the showgrounds.
I love it. Right there, that's being
That is
show
show
safe.
safe. Yep.
you know,
I love that.
um, kind of a higher and more noble way. If you look at our core values, it's all about respect and integrity. And, that's how you build safety. That's how you build environments where
Hmm.
people are held accountable for their bad actions and
Right.
where people aspire to good actions and where people are aware of one another and vested in one another. They have each other's backs. It creates a safe environment where if something, happens that shouldn't have happened, they feel safe in speaking up. And that's the safety, the community that we're trying to create. Because when you create a community like that, that is prevention. It's
Yes,
prevention.
because the community has its arms around everybody. So tell me about the core values. Tell me about what you saw when you came in and what you've shifted, and you said a couple of times that you're all about the content. Tell me about what's coming from ShowSafe.
Well, we are just having a wonderful time working hand in hand with our community to make sure that what we're creating is what they need and what they want. And right now we have a juniors education course that we have been doing in person at shows. It includes a handling session. We've been doing those across the nation as we've been able to. Gosh, I wish we could get to every show, but that's not realistic. But we are growing our volunteer base, and it's just a really neat training because it teaches personal safety through essentially values. People hear about show safe, and I think sometimes it makes them a little bit nervous. Like we're going to
Mhm.
talk about these specifics of kinds of
Things that
abuse.
can go wrong. Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I think it can turn negative. I think it can be uncomfortable topics. And we're okay having conversations about uncomfortable topics in good ways and in educating ways and in healthy ways. But that doesn't mean that that's what we're fixated on, if that
Right.
makes sense.
Yep.
So these kids come, and when you teach them and bolster their skills in self-confidence, in
Hmm.
self-respect and respect for others, in understanding the concept of integrity across settings and with peers and
Hmm.
with even their heroes, and understanding how to build and recognize trusted adults in their lives. You never have to mention any kind of abuse or misconduct, but you've actually prevented abuse and misconduct.
Exactly, because you've given them the skills to walk away and the confidence to walk away.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. So we teach personal safety through values and through basically creating strong and resilient and confident juniors. And that's true for all of us, right? Like all of us need that strength and that confidence to stand up for what's right and to be able to make sure that our behavior matches our values across settings and across people and across circumstances.
Hmm.
So we do put a big focus on that. We've recently developed a club best practices training, and actually, the first virtual live webinar of that training will be on April 30th. Again, practical, organic, tangible, actionable ways that clubs can just do simple things to create a more safe, more welcoming, more clear, more transparent environment. And, we're not telling anyone what to do. We are all about supporting the self determination and autonomy of anyone who calls us, anyone who consults with us, anyone who attends any of our education courses. It is meant to be a buffet of options and ideas and inspirations that you take back to your club and you say, you know what? This is the one thing I think we will change in our code of ethics. Or, you know what? I think when it comes to junior travel, maybe we should have a conversation about this one thing or whatever. Yeah, are there going to be dozens of things in that course? Dozens, dozens, and dozens. But I think each club and each person can kind of look at it and say, what applies to me? What applies to my community? What's the next right step for us?
It's like any seminar you go to. You're going to hear some things that you knew before and needed the reminder because you forgot. And you're going to hear some things that go, aha, maybe my club could do that too. So I love that you're doing club outreach. I think that's a fabulous idea. So
Yeah,
you were up in, was it Philadelphia?
we've been a lot of places. We were at the Philadelphia shows. Yeah. We've been at the Kentucky shows a lot. We've been a lot of places. We've had some great experiences. I'll share a story with you from the Colorado Kennel Club that I just went to in February. I got emailed off of our junior course that I just described by a mom who said, I have this daughter and she's never been to a dog show. We've never been to a dog show. We saw your course. Could we participate? And of course, the answer is yes. We're open to, everyone of
Right,
junior age.
right.
And for our course, you wouldn't even have to have a purebred dog per se.
Hmm.
And as you know, even the rules for juniors and their dogs are different than for
Right,
non-juniors. So
right.
this young lady and her family, she asked me, could you maybe find a dog? And she was probably 9 or 10 years old. Can you find a dog for her? So we reached out to the club, and it was just such a fun collaboration to see people come together on behalf of this one new little girl who wanted the experience of coming to a show. And sure enough, that day it was so cute because the person who volunteered their dog, it was a hairless dog. And they kind of chuckled. They said, because she can't, nothing can get messed up on the grooming of this hairless dog with this this novice. And this young lady just glowed. And I guess for me, I watched that handling session. We have a handling session that's a part of every one of our junior educations that are on site at shows. And it was all new to her. And the volunteer handlers, professional handlers that were helping, so kind, so generous with their information. And it was a group of probably 15 or 20 kids, and they all had so much fun. And then we had this course, and there was a real synergy, there was a real synergy. And afterwards, this young girl and her mom, they wanted to come back. And they actually emailed me recently, and she had participated in her first show where she took second place as open novice, and
Nice.
she is already scheduled in another show, and they're looking at the dog situation and all of that. But I wish I could, we it'd be fun if there were a podcast series that was just what brought you here, and you could
Hmm.
just hear the joy of every new person, whether they came because of their parents, a friend, the dogs themselves, whatever exposure they had. Everybody's story about why they're here is so important. And
Yeah.
that's why we want to make sure everyone feels welcome and everyone feels like they can stay.
And they can have that fabulous first experience story too to tell, to
Mm-hmm.
inspire them, to keep them coming back for more,
Mm-hmm.
instead of having an experience of watching a couple of adults say nasty things to each other.
The bulk of this culture is about service. It's
Hmm.
about volunteerism. It's about caring for one another. And I'm going to steal this phrase from the Kennel Club of Philadelphia because I absolutely love it. It's about celebrating the joy of dogs. I'm sorry, but if you're a dog lover, you know what that means. And to
Yep.
share that with other people who get it,
Hmm.
and I love it. And it doesn't matter whether you're doing agility, it doesn't matter whether you're doing conformation. This joy of dogs unites us in something pure.
Because the dogs don't care about the ribbons and the wins. They don't, they're just doing it because they want to be with us.
Yeah.
We
Or
have to
they're,
make
yeah.
ourselves as good as our dogs think we are.
Yeah, it's very, very true. And one of the things in our junior education course that we do is we're focusing on how to be show safe is we emphasize the parallels between safety and your dog and
Hmm.
how you care for your dog. You should care for yourself just as well.
Right.
And you should respect your own boundaries the way you respect your dog's boundaries just as
Right.
well, you know?
Oh, I love
You,
that.
I had to learn as a new person because of course I want to touch every single dog, you
Especially the
know.
poodles.
I learned right away about the poodles, but yeah, you learn that this is serious, and you ask for consent, and you do so respectfully, and you honor the pedigree and the work that has gone into every dog and every owner and every handler and every breeder and just all of it. I have deep respect for it.
Ask for permission and you honor the boundaries. That's so
Yeah,
important in all walks of life, not even just the
absolutely.
dog shows, not even just adults and children, all walks of life. Everybody is allowed to have boundaries, including our dogs. And so, if we
Absolutely.
know how to read the boundaries and set the boundaries and enforce the boundaries and respect the boundaries with our dogs, why are we so bad at doing it with each other sometimes? So,
Yeah.
and show safe is a great reminder.
Yeah. Again, it's just because we're human. This isn't about, we're all going to fall short sometimes. I
Yep.
do, you do, we all
Yep.
do. We all have
Yeah.
bad days. But I think if we're on a upward trajectory as an organization,
Mm-hmm.
as a community, if we're valuing values, if we're valuing the sport we are creating, then it's going to turn out okay. One of the phrases I always say is connection is protection, and that isn't just a cute rhyme.
Mm-hmm.
Connection is literally protection. So in the world of child abuse, for instance, social connections are a scientifically proven protective factor for children. And the same is true for suicide, for drug use, for a lot of the social uh, pitfalls that can come to any of us. So, building that community, I'm always amazed when there are people that are willing to spend every weekend at a show, but don't have the energy or the time or the inclination to lean in a little bit and to just give that smile, make that connection, make a new friend. And I think those people are few and far between. I see people come to the shows, and you've seen it, Sandy, because I'm new and I don't know anyone compared to people that have been in the show world forever.
Mm-hmm.
They shout across the room and they're so excited to see each other. They haven't seen each other in months. And, building those connections while also holding the boundaries of safety and awareness and
Right.
never being naive
Right.
that someone could have another side to them. Just because there are a small percentage, a very, very small percentage of people who don't do good things to one another, um, that's not enough to lean out. Lean in, lean in
Yeah.
and build the trust, build the connections, and you change the whole culture. You change the whole experience.
And you make yourself a new friend. Reach out and just be kind to people. Like the scouts say, leave people better than you found them.
Yeah, absolutely. And we had it was the cutest thing at one of our shows. There were these two juniors. They were both about 16 years old, and they came to our course and we're eating pizza. And then afterwards they're cleaning up and I'm talking to both of them, and their parents, other adults are there. We're all just chatting. And I'm like, well, how long have you guys been friends? And they said, we just met at this show, but we've exchanged numbers and we're so excited to have found each other because they were both in the West
Mm-hmm.
and there was some distance between them. How wonderful. These juniors, we want to support them to build a community with one another. and
Yes.
model for them how to be competitive and still be friends, you know?
Exactly. And I think the juniors, by and large, do a better job at that than a lot of the adults do. So we've talked a lot about juniors, but juniors are not the only focus of ShowSafe, and community is not the only focus of ShowSafe, and clubs are not the only focus of ShowSafe. ShowSafe has a lot of focuses. What else are you working on?
I mean, like you said, we're pretty much covering it all. But coming up, we've got a parent education course that I think is going to be really helpful for parents. Really hands-on, really pragmatic. We'd love to deliver it to groups of parents in their clubs or in their neighborhoods or however they want to receive it. Again, it will be online and virtual as well. So we're really excited about that. And it's fun because this idea of being show safe, uh, it's one that we've committed to video. And I'm really excited. In the next few weeks, we're going to start releasing. We have a few videos that, we just did a little secret filming down in Philadelphia in November, and people shared the message and supported Show Safe. And, it'll be fun for all of you to find your friends on these videos and see if there are people that helped us record those because they showed up, and I think that's a big part of being show safe is showing up. If I were to close this with anything, it would be none of us are helpless about how we feel about going to shows, and shows and the environment and the community and the safety and the well-being of our most vulnerable, including our juniors, all of it is up to us. And so feeling confident that you can take action and that you can create your own culture, I love that. It's very empowering. It's very empowering. I hope that's what people take away today.
I love that you gave us so much of your time today. And obviously, for a woman who did not come from the show dog community, you are so passionate about the work that you're doing inside our community. And you're part of the community now, too, Diane. Thank
Oh,
you so
thank you.
much.
I might be a little adopted rescue myself, but I'm
No,
sure
no, no,
grateful
no,
to be
no.
here. I'm really grateful to be here.
You most definitely are a purebred. So
Of something. We don't know
you can
what.
be a rescue purebred, but yes. All right, before I let you go, Diane, I need to know one thing from you. What is one thing you've learned from your dog?
Oh gosh. I guess instinct. I'm gonna go with instinct. My dog was a street dog in Juarez, Mexico, who got picked up and shipped over the border to be rescued here in the States. And she just, I don't know, she's a survivor, but she's so sweet and she's so gentle. And yet the other day I live in the mountains and she barked down a moose and the moose ran away, and it terrified me because I thought she was gonna get trampled. But you got to give that little dog some kudos. Like, she knows how to love, and she knows how to be fierce, and she knows how to read these different situations. And I just think that's a real gift that dogs have. I trust their instinct. I don't know about you, but when I see a dog that doesn't like someone too much,
Oh,
my
yeah.
first thought is not necessarily that's a mean dog. It's, is
What's
that
wrong with
person
that
nice?
person? Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm just gonna say instinct because I think creating a safe culture is so tied to that instinct. It's so tied to that awareness and kind of that see something, say something. And that doesn't
Mhm.
always have to be big things, but just being aware of one another, tuning in. Yeah.
Yeah. And there's club officials all around. You don't have to, find the right person. You can just go tell some right person.
Yeah.
If nobody's willing to go and say, hey, I just saw something that didn't look right to me, then problems don't get fixed.
Yeah.
So
And the
thank you.
clubs have been amazing. I have to say,
Yep.
I mean, I'm not going to name any situations or any clubs or anything like that, but wow, I have really seen some clubs behave with such professionalism and such integrity with hard things. So yeah, those instincts, there's a reason those club leaders are club leaders. There's a reason that, you know what I mean? Like, trust that gut. It doesn't mean be biased. It doesn't mean think the worst, but trust that gut. And most of the time, that gut's going to tell you good things too.
There's a reason we call it a gut reaction.
Yep.
Thank you so much for being here and for sharing your passion and enthusiasm and knowledge, and especially for opening your doors for our community and reminding us that we get to be the community too. Diane Moore, Executive Director of ShowSafe. Thank you.
Thank you.
ShowSafe partners with clubs to create a safer, more sustainable show community. If you want to create a great environment for the sport, for families, and for juniors, please connect your clubs to ShowSafe by emailing info@show-safe.org. Thanks for joining us.